Welcome, King's Counsel and Trust Family Office family. We're so grateful that you've joined us today. Thank you for sharing your time with us. We know there's so many things in the world you could be out there doing, and to spend once a month with you in our community in this platform where you can learn more about what we're doing. As many of you know, we've been growing and shifting. We have a dynamic event today scheduled, and so really grateful that you've chosen to be with us. As always, we love having you on camera. So if that is something that you're open to doing, we are excited to have you join us on camera so we can see you, connect with you. I have a couple things here. Here we go. So if you are joining us for the first time, welcome. We'd love to hear in the chat who you are, where you're from. Please drop that in, what part of the world you're from. We have individuals all around the globe joining us each day or each time. And if you've been here before, go ahead and say hello and where you're chiming in from. Look forward to connecting everybody today. Hi, George. So glad you're here. So our agenda. So we're going to touch for a moment on King's Counsel and Trust mission and vision. We have a great video today that kind of sets the tone of what we're all about. We have a powerful health minute with the cash flow whisperer, Larry. It's so funny that he's not funny. It's wonderful that he's the expert in cash flow and also how that impacts health. We have the Slight Edge financial update. This is where the manager, Dale Hewett Collier, will just give us tips and tools on how do we have that slight edge in what we're doing. We have a featured power partner, somebody that we are honored to have a part of our community. And today's topic is the 5 crowns. What race are you running? And then at the end, we do a breakout session for networking, collaborating, and we open it up for Q&A. I invite you, sometimes we get on the tail end and we don't have a ton of time for Q&A. If you have a question, put it in the chat or put it at the very bottom. There's actually a place where you can put questions so that we can, if we can answer them as we get going, we would love to do that. So here is our mission and vision. I'm going to take it for a moment and pause it. I'm going to set up the video. And if you would, I always love hearing what stood out for you. If you would be so kind to type in the chat, I know each month for me, something speaks to me differently each month, but if there's something that speaks to you, please share what that is in the chat.
Work. Most of us spend over half our lives at work. Whatever it is you fill the 9 to 5 with, planting crops, building cars, taking care of patients, teaching students, or running a business, work is where most of life happens. For some, work is a drain. They dread Monday mornings, forcing themselves to struggle through because they need the paycheck, while many times feeling trapped and beaten down by their job. Some people love their work. They're good at what they do. It energizes them. It's a place of security, a place to chase dreams, desires, and success. At work, they find fulfillment. We often forget to connect our faith to our work. We don't consider the reasons God may have us at our job. We don't think about the purpose and meaning we could bring to our work. We simply focus on how it makes us feel. But what if we saw our work as an opportunity to worship? As Christians, we are called to serve Christ with our lives. For a few, that means working as a pastor, a youth minister, or a missionary. Others serve the church by teaching children or singing in the choir. But when Sunday is over, most of us return to our jobs outside the church. For us, our mission is in the marketplace. We may not be the kind of missionary who moves to the far regions of Africa, but around the conference table, around the water cooler, or around the cubicle, we have an opportunity to worship the God who created us. He gave us skill. He gave us passion. He gave us work. When we do our jobs with excellence and integrity and diligence, it's an act of worship. We are displaying God's craftsmanship to the non-believing world around us. We are earning the right to be heard. We don't see a divide between Sunday and Monday, between the sacred and the secular. We've been invited into parts of the world that a pastor or traditional missionary will never see. We have conversations with people who would never set foot in a church. Whether we love or dread our work, we choose to turn the focus away from ourselves and toward the mission God has for us. Church is not the only place we worship, and Sundays are not the only days on our calendars that have meaning. Every day on mission for God brings us great joy. Like the heroes before us, we can be modern-day Noahs and Josephs and Peters who are called with a purpose. God has designed us. He created us to work and to worship. For us, work is worship.
All right. So you heard me talk just for a moment. I'll do a quick introduction of our team. Wasn't that video amazing? Didn't that do a great explanation of why you're here? And if you connected with it, maybe put a heart in the chat or let us know that I see, Julie says, I love these videos, cool effects. Would love to hear your thoughts. So Dale Hewett Collier, he is really the individual who has pulled this all together with an amazing team. He's a strategic philanthropist and has been tagged as a financial futurist. Those of you that are connecting for the first time, as you get to know what's happening here is a lot of the part of why he's been tagged as a financial futurist is that he's really had the foresight of a lot of what's happening in the world and a foresight of how to bring these kingdom principles into what we're doing every day now. And he is reinventing private equity as a function of cash flow. Which I'm super excited about because there are so many individuals that are always looking for, how do I collaborate? How do I, take my vision and mission to the world? Looking for both resources of team or individuals or even financial. So super excited about what he does in that realm. Also have Thomas Richter. Thomas, if you can wave or say hi or pop up so you go on the screen for a moment.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. I had the privilege of being interviewed today by Julie, and I'm just going to give a quick shout out to anyone else who's on that interview list for Julie. She makes it really painless. So if she's reached out to you recently, I hope that you are able to respond back to her, help support us, our community. We're looking for some testimonies as we have relaunched our intake form and how we want to attract those people that God is bringing to our community. So if you're one of those pending testimonies, you'll enjoy spending time and meeting Julie. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Thomas. And we also have the wonderful, amazing Erin Strayer, who is not here today, but you'll be able to connect with her. Many of you know her. She is just a genius on all things in technology and really connecting community. Like a COO is the best way I could describe her. I'm going to peruse through these fairly quickly because we have some great, you're going to be able to hear from some wonderful speakers today. Larry, who we'll hear from shortly, known as the Cash Flow Whisperer. Cheryl Bassett is also, boy, this woman, talk about being able to get this message out so that we can clearly understand it and connect with it is really beautiful. Larry, Cheryl, if you want to say hi, so you pop up the screen, I'll actually pull you up. Larry, will you say hi real quick?
Oh, welcome everybody. Glad you all are here.
Perfect. And Larry, I forgot the most important thing. Cheryl, you want to say hi real quick?
Yeah, so hi everyone. Super excited about, we're getting into the fourth quarter of the year, right? And there's so much great stuff happening and getting ready for next year. So and there's so many things with King's Counsel that's coming together so beautifully. Guys, just keep watching for all the updates coming out around the website and different things that you can tap into and learn more. And I will read also what Thomas said, please. Julie's reaching out. Let's get these, as a power partner, especially those of you on the call, we'll be reaching out to get those videos done. Yes, Debbie Lynn did do hers. Thank you. And then Thomas is done. So anyway, just, and I know Larry's coming up. So anyway, just if you get the message from, and Signal, there's some coming out in Signal for those of you that are in there too. So there's some messages potentially sitting there for you. So.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. And then also, speaking of the doing the interviews, I help people get marketing and media, and we would call this media magic, because not only are you sharing your testimony, but we also get to highlight your business on who you are and what you're doing. So this is what we consider media magic, of helping spread your word out to the world. And so I also love people helping individuals learn about capital language, building communities, and so much more. And as you can see here, you can be here. So if you are interested in leadership and what we're doing, remember to go to kctfo.com, go through the process there, and reach out and let us know how you want to play. Larry, would you be so kind to open us up in a prayer and intentions?
Sure. Thank you. Heavenly Father, we just praise you and thank you for life today and the opportunities and the possibilities that are awaiting us to apply and employ your principles, and which that's what King's Counsel is about, and everybody on this call. We just ask a special blessing upon each person on the call and their family and their business, and just ask that you would come alongside of us and to stand in with us in this effort. We just thank you and praise you, and these things we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So before we get into all of our fun program today, we just wanted to remind everybody that if you go to this website, you can actually download an incredible workbook on the power of covenants and contracts, and how to build strong relationships and stronger relationships, and building trust through shared values. This is really the foundation of everything that we do here at King's Counsel and Trust, and want to remind you to check that out. And now I am super excited about today's topic. Grab your pen and paper if you don't have it already. It's going to be Let Food Be Thy Medicine. And I'm going to turn this over to Larry Tyler.
Thank you. Well, what we decided a number of months ago is to take a moment and just discuss, throw out, anybody want to catch some of the keys to healthy living. And the context of all this is it's very difficult to fulfill and perform our kingdom assignment if we're not in good health. To us, health is not a linear proposition, it's holistic. These are the areas that we've identified as areas of health, aside just from the physical health. Today, or this month, it's about eating, and Hippocrates is attributed to this quote, "Let food be thy medicine, let medicine be thy food." And I believe with what's going on globally today, it's more important to understand this, acknowledge this, and then take some action and do something about it. There's a great book that I'll show here. It's really an eater's manual. If you ever, I've never heard it put that way, but this is a great book by Michael Pollan called Food Rules. And then Cheryl would be putting into the chat a folder with, there's 10 to 15 different resources. Most of them are book reviews. I know most people don't read much anymore, but these are great book reviews about from different worthy authors about eating. And what I wanted to do just briefly is, this is a book by Michael Pollan, is read you just a little bit, just take 30 seconds, and it's a short book, and it's got some great, and it's kind of comical too, such as a chapter, avoid food products containing ingredients that no ordinary human would keep in the pantry. A chapter on that, avoid foods that have some form of sugar listed among the top 3 ingredients. Avoid food products that contain more than 5 ingredients. Avoid food products with the word light or the terms low fat or non-fat in their names. Just to name a few chapters, buy smaller plates and glasses. But again, it's if anybody's not aware of the fact that what they're attempting to do with food, it's to know the difference, read the labels, so we can remain healthy, especially in a community like this. We're all entangled together. So if we can improve on our eating, improve on our health, we all benefit. So with that, I'll pass it back to you, Shannon.
Next, we have Slight Edge Financial Update. Would love to introduce Dale Hewett Collier. Many of you know, who is the managing director of King's Counsel and Trust Family Office. So Dale, we are super excited about the Slight Edge.
I'm glad to see everybody here. Who's here, I guess, is supposed to be here, because the message, staying with the theme of why we're showing up in the marketplace, what we're doing, where we're doing, with whom we're doing, how often we're doing, we call ministry. You know, we kind of open that out. We rededicate it to kind of recalibrate, get back on the Lord's track about what's going on in the world. And last time we talked about what's easy to do, what's not so easy to do, and well, what does the compound effect look like? Here's the real numbers. For most of you, breast cancer is a really great investment, growing more than 9% in the last year alone to more than I don't know what it is, just shy of $5 billion. It's expected to grow more than double to more than $9 billion in 2032. Who wants to be a part of that? I don't. But you understand, October being the so-called pink ribbon breast cancer awareness month, I'm picking on it for a reason. The way it's sold in terms of what it does as an industry and putting people to work and creating jobs and obviously a lot of money in there too. There's no financial reason whatsoever, because no one's introducing a counter alternative to what's the better option, because no one's going to walk away from currently a $4.5 billion rice bowl. They're just not going to do it. And if you're going to be anti that, expect a war. Guys, I want to challenge you all here that, you know, if your retirement plan, if your current investments aren't doing better than 20% a year, it's time to rethink that. It's really time to. So without harping on that too much, here's a couple other things in terms of what you can do, little things right now, especially if you're going to get with us in as a partner or with a project, is number one, where are you currently investing your time? Forget about what your market's doing. I know for most of the market, if you're exposed to the public markets, you've lost money. You're not ahead 20%. You're probably backwards 20%. I will say you don't know what you're doing. The best thing I can say then, stop doing that. The best thing you can do, stop doing that. Exit the markets now. If you don't know what you're doing and you don't have the confidence in your advisors, stop, please. The second thing I can emphasize is, are you ready to receive? Do you understand why we're here and introducing all together different way of banking on each other system? The World Bank would refer to it as a non-bank financial service system. That's what we have. You don't have to understand it to get started. Just get started. Stop the one thing, shift the other thing, engage in the other thing. Repentance is a 3-step process. It's not to be, condemning in any way. It's stop. I love you. Return to me. There's better out there. I want better for you, all of you, and how you're doing things. And number 2, as we're coming into this last quarter here, please, if it doesn't apply to you, please let anyone else know that what's going on in Washington right now is, number 1, no one should be experiencing any capital gains taxes. That's foolish. They're trying to do away with all of that right now. But in the current market, being ready to receive is also meaning the prior planning of avoiding those taxes legitimately. You can do that. Federal income tax is an option. That's the tax that you pay individually or organizationally on what's left over. And I'm telling you, you've got 3 months to get your house in order to effectively walk away from federal income tax altogether. You have that option. If cash flow is that important to you and outpacing the rate of inflation and other crazy adjustments in political jockeying for what's best for one and maybe not so much for the other, you have options. These are little things that you can do. And as long as you're in my presence, I'm going to drive it home to the point it's either uncomfortable, change will happen, and you'll shift, or you probably won't be coming back because you're tired of hearing it. What's happening in our country and worldwide isn't working. There's wars and rumors of wars, in case you didn't know that the dollar collapse is a real issue. And what are we going to do about it? And if you don't know that just yet, the federal government, as we know it, is downgrading and is no longer the best investment in the world in terms of its debt that it used to have. I would encourage you to go check out your bank at bankrate.com and see how well their balance sheet looks like. We've had so much trouble in just moving wires to one position to another position because we are ready to receive. And I can absolutely let you know that for those of us that are a select few that have got their projects in order and so on and so forth, we're going to hear about one with Arthur and LMA pretty soon in Africa. We're really excited about that. Is bottom line is, everyone's willing to do what it takes to win. The real question is, are you willing to put in the time to participate and to practice in order to win? And that's where most fall short. So I'll stop there. I know I went over my kind of slight edge. I'm just kind of making it really, really sharp and something that you can take home and hopefully have something to share with somebody. Bring them on back. The future is so bright. We have options and solutions, and I'm glad you're here to hear about it and take it to the street. So go team. And Arthur, if you could, just high level, just a couple minutes, yourself and what's going on in Africa, why folks should take a closer look, and your involvement here in King's Counsel.
Thanks, Dale. Thanks, Shannon. Hello, everyone. Nice to see and meet some of you for the first time. Just a bit of background about myself. I'm out in Zimbabwe, in Africa. My professional background is banking, so I have a career of about 30 years experience working in various roles in the African financial services sector. And of this time, I've spent some 27 of these years directly participating in financial investment or co-investment activities. The last 10 years, I've spent more developing in the impact investment space. It's been a learning curve for me, but the whole impact investing industry or co-investing is a frontier that's largely developing, and I've had a lot to learn as well in terms of growth in that aspect. I've been associated with KCT now since 2015 when I was first introduced. And I was introduced, bringing on board this, the project Alumea Capital, which is being profiled today. And Alumea came out of more of a personal experience where I would say I went through a transformational experience where, in the corporate sector, I reached a point where I felt, I wasn't getting full fulfillment in terms of my purpose in life. So I ventured on this social enterprise route where really you're looking at profitable ventures, but those that have a social impact in terms of really touching the lives of people. And by venturing down that road, through some friends, I then got introduced to King's Counsel and Trust. So Alumea Capital is a social enterprise, and we are targeting small and medium enterprise development in the sub-Saharan African region. As many of you will know, Africa is a region that's touted to have great potential in terms of growth for the coming decades, and we see a lot of scope for development of small and medium enterprises for the purpose of bringing sustainable local community development. So that was the big motivation behind venturing down that route. A large part of that motivation was also wanting to do something for the kingdom. I felt I was successful in my own right, but didn't really feel that I was doing much in terms of contributing to the kingdom beyond my personal income tithes and offerings which I was giving. So the idea was also to set up something that would be able to contribute in a more meaningful way in terms of the growth of the kingdom. So when I was introduced to KCT, I felt right at home. Why? Because there were the three major elements that were brought to play under one platform. The one of enterprise, the social aspect of having an impact in terms of people's lives, but also more importantly, the spiritual aspect, the kingdom aspect. I always say, social enterprise is something that's growing. Impact investing is something that's growing in the world today, and you have recognition of the profit element in the enterprise for sustainability. And you also have the need for the social impact element. But there are very few platforms out there where you also get that third element, which is the spiritual aspect. So for me, when I was introduced to KCT, it really had a big impact on my life in terms of finding that purpose.
And you have the next slide queued up, Shane? Yes. If everyone could just take a brief moment to kind of look over this thing, notice that there aren't any financial rewards from a heavenly perspective. I don't know if you know what currency that's all about, but when we talk about kingdom economy, when we talk about marketplace ministry, when we talk about strategic philanthropy, when we talk about what is our purpose in God's plan on this planet, most of us really don't have a solid answer that you can bank on for eternity. One of the best books that I could ever recommend on the subject, other than the very good book itself, is an author, Randy Alcorn. He writes about money, possessions, and eternity. And that's one of our required reading things here. But specifically, I'd like to talk about in terms of how you can check yourself. And when we have our breakout today, these 5 crowns, the incorruptible, the crown of righteousness, the crown of glory, the rejoicing, and the crown of life. One of my favorites is the incorruptible. I just kind of gave an insight to it, but the Apostle Paul talks about in this story that most people are running this race for this thing, a prize. It may be it's a bonus, it may be whatever it is, but you can't take it with you. Most of us, if we get to that point, haven't figured out how to transfer it. How we're even defining success, unless it's transferable, I can assure you there's no success. And so that really gets to the aspect of discipleship in the marketplace. And that's the kind of that really kind of gets to the next couple crowns in terms of discipleship is that which you train and develop the next generation to carry on what you created, as the case may be. And that's the kind of thing. If we think about the loved ones that have gone, in past and graduated, what do we remember about them? Chances are money had nothing to do with it. And yet for most of us, we wake up every day and we go work for the man or the woman nowadays. Did we forget what we're here for? So when we show up, and as you heard Arthur talk about, there was something itching, like there's more. There's got to be more to this thing in investing in projects and venture capital and investments and all of that kind of stuff. And I would encourage you be pondering on these things as we get into more, because righteousness in terms of not just how we show up in terms of our mentors. Are we in right standing? Are we in right standing, second coming, as it were, or the next coming? Who cares if it's the second, third, or fourth? Are we in a good position when that moment in time happens and we're called to the front, we're called to give an account? Question isn't going to be how much is in your bank account per se, is what did you do for others? Did you learn to love? Did you do it well? So I get into the next crown in terms of, there's a giving continuum, a generosity continuum. Now, at the very lowest level is that of phileo love. Phileo love, if you do, I will. If you don't, I won't. We call that Philadelphia or brotherly love, but it's so conditional. Most of us, if we're honest with ourselves, we grew up in conditional love homes, if we even had one. There's something better. And through the continuum of maturity and perspective and where we derive our sense of happiness and joy and peace, we'll soon find that there's a far better way of giving than the external pursuit of some other condition which is beyond our control. And that emphasizes the importance of living for God and that relationship and our heavenly daddy, as it were, and not necessarily for our human desires and our other human brothers, sisters, as the case may be. And moving right along where we talk about the ultimate in Thessalonians there, it begs the question again in terms of how we show up in the marketplace. If we're not winning souls to kind of remind folks, think of it as orphans, that they were born into a heavenly family with a father that loves us, willing to sacrifice, his own flesh and blood. Most of it, if we don't represent that message, who is? We may be the only representatives of Christ, of the word and that love and that patience and kindness. And you get the idea how the Spirit shows up. Because in a dark world right now, where's that light going to come from? A lot of it's going artificial, in case you didn't know. LEDs. China's working on a second sun. It's nuts. But that's another crown and a reward unto itself. And something worth thinking about. And ultimately, in the end, the crown of life. The big question for all of you is, when it gets to that point, these are the types of crowns and the honor and reward system from the kingdom or the heavenly perspective we think is a little bit more important than how much money we show up on a quarterly or monthly or however we're measuring our success based in a worldly sense. The term economy was derived from the term oikonomia, a Greek term that talked about the dispensation of God's blessings and spiritual gifts and talents. Had nothing to do with money. Like anything else, what started as a good thing was hijacked. And unfortunately, there's few people on the watch that let it happen. But nevertheless, I would encourage you that if you're finding yourself with temptations and trials and almost like this Job-like character where it seems like the world's coming against you, you're getting sued, your friends are leaving you, your wife wants to leave you, all of your herds or whatever it is, your business, you just lost all your customers, everything's coming to an end, I can assure you, you're probably on a good path. And if you don't have the eyes to see it just yet, ask any one of us to pray with you, not for you. It's high time everyone learned to pray for themselves and to invite others to experience the power and the magnificence where two or more are gathered in his name, that we can begin to see miracles begin to happen. Because I don't suspect that we're going to see the great miracles until the body of Christ as we know it starts to come together. Because our issue today is we're a bunch of amputated body parts. We're so fractionalized, the Christian faith especially. There's more denominations of Christian faith than there is in the House of Representatives in Washington. They've got their own special interests. Hey, newsflash, Jesus wasn't a Christian. He was a heretic in his own religion because of how he showed up and demonstrate the love of the Heavenly Father. not some religious organization or practice, as the case may be. So I would encourage you all as we begin to break out. What's your ministry about? Which one of these crowns perhaps most appeals to you? And, you know, Shannon, if you would like to kind of kick us off in a more succinct manner, I'd just get on fire. I could keep talking for the whole time, but I'm interested to meet some of y'all in our breakout rooms and what's next. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dale. So we're going to go into our breakout rooms. This is a time to meet your neighbors. Love on your neighbors. The suggestion is first thing when you get into the room, you want to go ahead and pick a timekeeper. We want to do our best to limit it to 3 minutes because it's so important that that last person, their voice is heard. So when you hear the timer or you give them a 10-second warning, that's always great. And keep it moving so everybody has the opportunity to share. So I will put this and I'll kind of flip back and forth between the breakout rooms, but this is what we would like you to consider sharing or contemplating. So in 30 seconds, share who you are, where you're from, your website. You can put it in the chat. And then the last couple of moments, 2 minutes or so, please let us know, what do you think it means to run the race in the context of the 5 heavenly crowns, and how can you apply these principles in your daily life? Thomas, Dale, did I cover everything? All right.
I have nothing further.
Okay, go ahead and enjoy.
Can in-ground natural gas on 300 acres in Ohio be used for that pledging for a bank type situation?
That's a tough one to say, because in order to shift the fiat dollar system, they really need to kill the petro dollar, which is primarily oil, but unfortunately that also includes natural gas. I think in many cases, natural gas temporarily may go out of favor, and that I think is part of the agenda. That's a tough one to say unless there's something else, and I'm sure there is, Stuart, in this case, something else involved.
Coal mine.
What else they want to do?
What about coal? Can you pledge coal?
Similar situation.
Okay. Thanks.
Coal has a better chance than natural gas. I will say that based on my experience. We've looked at coal before. We just weren't able to go very farther with it. That's one of those things everyone needs to know. It's possible to take what's in the ground and effectively put it on the blockchain. Not everyone wants that to happen. So unless all parties agree, that's a monumental task, and it's not inexpensive. So, but could be worth looking at, Stuart. We've got a one-page fact sheet that I think from an asset monetization that describes that process real well. If you don't have that, please message me or Thomas to kind of share that so that you can share with whoever, because unless it lines up, it's kind of like a bank, like a mortgage. If it doesn't check all these boxes, it doesn't work. So,
I'm on quasi board for this thing called Lands of Goshen, and they want to put safe communities where Christians can live post-collapse after the mark comes out, where we can live in 12 tribes, kind of a Hebrew roots group. But they're looking for funding, and it's probably going to be 20 to 40 million to do it right. And they're just trying to do it grassroots with a couple cabins. And I was trying to get them access to funding, some way to build this out. And this will be the model in Ohio to build all over the country, then the world, where Christians can huddle together and live in Goshen places is the name of it, all over the world. So if you want to talk about getting that vision funded, they're going to take the natural gas and put a Bitcoin mining two cargo things on it for now. That's kind of their cheap fix. But, any ideas would be welcome.
Fascinating. Yeah, I would say have them register. The scale of this is really important. The location, and again, in this, anything worldwide, need to understand there's those regions, not just peoples, but those regions that are in favor and those that aren't. There are going to be sanctions. There are going to be very, very difficult times ahead, depending on where folks may be. And I'm a firm believer, unless God's called you to it, chances are you might want to get to it and move somewhere else where you're supposed to be. Word of knowledge isn't always about, do this or do that. It's sometimes there's a warning. This is what's coming. Either prepare yourself or get out the way. So I'd love to hear more about that and how big that is, and potentially how quickly that could come together.
Because this
we're
guy's
looking at-
prophetic word is that he's going to have the end time. Last revival is going to start in Columbus, Ohio, and he's been told by multiple people that he's the person that's supposed to start it. And his last name is Fabian. He came from the line of popes, and he's been asked to go in with the Rockefellers and turned all that down. So it's a very interesting story.
Cool. Anyone else? Stuart always is working on cool stuff, so don't be surprised. I mean, if this is a new topic, like what in the world did he just regular conversation around here? Anyone else?
I just want to thank everyone for being here, but Dale, I really would like you guys to get to know my friend Buzz.
He was on my channel or a breakout session. I think Buzz is going to learn from Shannon here. Next steps, how to kind of get into the system. The system, again, it is here for everyone who's a partner, so that you don't have to be able to know what we know or repeat it in the sequence. And hopefully we'll do a much better job of providing even more in terms of what path. You know, there's people come because they want to be part of community. This isn't just any community, for one, but they're coming for their own, you know, self-preservation. A lot of our Canadian friends, for example, they know what's coming. They're getting out of the markets. They're expatriating altogether. So that's a whole different discussion than somebody that's looking to learn about how to mitigate their tax situation, or someone else that may have a project, or someone else that is looking to be on an advisory board for somebody else, or somebody else who's looking to get involved as a fundraiser for their thing. There's a lot of different things to know. It's not one size fit all. You don't have to do all things. The important thing is to figure out what is it you love to do. And Buzz, in this case, has 2 projects. He's going to learn about that path. At least that's my understanding pretty shortly. Thank you, Carol, for bringing that up.
Thank you.
Sorry to ask another question. I have two 75-year-olds living in an apartment because they had to sell their house. They got two $50,000 annuities. They're already past the max out of the payout at 7% at Prudential. And I'm encouraging them to, you know, let's just take this 100,000 and do, or at least 50, and do something with it. If we brought it to you guys, what do you have, like a bare minimum guaranteed rate that is 20% kind of mentioned a year? Is that would be better than what they're getting on their 7% lifetime guarantee?
Well, nothing's guaranteed. There are different fixed things, but it would require getting out of those instruments altogether, because those are still commercial insurance instruments in one shape or form. It would require liquidating. The only things that are being used for fixed rates of return right now are precious metals, fully collateralized. If I provide you liquidity, you honor me with a tithe. Well, you do that twice a year. There's your 20%. Is there an actual, you know, if the brother doesn't return, there's the collateral there. They don't go backwards. There's more to those types of programs. But one of the things we've covered in a previous engagement, we were so enthusiastic about sharing a similar opportunity. Somebody's got asset rich, liquidity poor. Rather than sell the asset and incur tax or incur penalty, they just said, hey, can the community help out? If I pledge this, can I get some help here for short term? It's not for Peter to pay Paul. It is to multiply the seed. And we had more, Stuart, I don't know if you were on that call, but for anyone that's listening, we had more than 65% participation of the community that said, yes, I would help with at least $1,000.
Beautiful.
That's cool, I think. So anyone with other assets, we haven't perfected that yet. That's not a guarantee. Again, that's just one word to one word, and that's more the covenant nature. I say I agree. We don't have a third-party marriage contract with a state or a government or anybody else. And anyway, appreciate the question.
Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick show and tell, Dale. I know we have a couple people left. If you are interested in getting started or learning more, as Dale had mentioned, we've got a process, a journey that we have put together to help you understand a little bit more about the terminology and the context. And so you just go to kctfo.com. Here's a welcome video, and here is where you can get access to the training and go on that journey. This is at your own pace. And however, if you don't do much in the first 5 days, we'll send you a reminder and be on this journey with you. Once you've completed this, at the very end, there's an option to say, did you complete the course? Please hit yes. Make sure you hit that option or type in yes, because then that gives you access and opens up the next portal if you're interested in becoming what we call a power partner or learning more about the power partners and how that works. And then at the bottom here is the community piece. And here's another way to access the power partners, but you really want to start with this first one first. Now, if you come back and you need to log in to this particular one, you can log in at any point right there at the top. Put in your email and credentials, and you are ready to go. So thank you so much, Dale and the KCT team, for putting this together, because I know having the honor of being with you guys for over 5 years, it's definitely taken a lot to understand the terminology and navigate things. And I know that these videos have made it a lot simpler to go back and replay and understand and really start connecting with this beautiful family office. So with that, we will see you next month. We look forward to, please go to the YouTube, watch the videos, comment. I did put that link in there if you would like me to put it in again. It's a great way to stay connected as we're going along. And any final words, Dale? I think you did a great closeout.
No, I'm done. Thank
Okay.
you all. Appreciate it. Look forward to the feedback anywhere we could plus and help make your journey easier with sharing some good news and fighting the good fight. We'd love to hear about it. There's a contact us form on the bottom of our new page that works a little bit better than the old page. And anyway, God bless everyone. Thank you for your participation today.
Thank you all.
Expect good things. Thanksgiving is right around the corner. Bye for now.
Well, thank you. Bye for now.